Welcome to day 4 of our 5-day yoga series to nourish the breath, the mind, and the body. Today's practice is centered around the notion of courage. When you're ready, let's get started today in supine bound angle pose, Supta Baddha Konasana, also known as butterfly pose. Taking a moment to mindfully roll down onto your back, joining the soles of the feet together, grounding down through the blade edges of your feet, allowing your knees to splay out to the side, softening into the hips, the outer glutes, closing down the eyes. And it might feel nice to place one palm on the belly and the other on the heart space. Feeling your connection to the body. Feeling your connection to the surface beneath you. Recognizing that you are supported here. Today we will be exploring a variety of heart opening and hip opening postures. These can be particularly sensitive regions where we tend to harbor emotions and unwanted energy. So give yourself permission to be courageous. Allow yourself to be vulnerable as we open into these regions. Recognizing that by choosing to lean into any emotions, any discomfort, we're able to create space around these experiences. We're able to breathe into these experiences with a loving tenderness. And from this space of acceptance, we can reconnect with the infinite peace that is forever available for us in the here and now. You might like to set an intention for today's practice. Simply thank yourself for showing up. Beginning to notice the breath. Allowing yourself to soften a little more with every subsequent exhalation. Reminding yourself that the breath is a tool that will always be here to help you stay grounded in the here and now. On your next inhalation, mindfully close off the knees, guide them into the chest, and perhaps create some circles in both directions. If you'd like to join us in Happy Baby, or mindfully warm up the hips, the lower back, perhaps straightening one leg at a time, bending the other. Feeling a beautiful expansion around the lower back. Mindfully return your feet to the earth. Ankles are underneath the knees, and let's press up into our bridge pose. Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. Arms are extended the length of the body. Turning on the glutes, the hamstrings. Lightly pressing into the big toe mounds to help you turn on the inner thighs. Relaxing the throat. And doing your best to create space between the chest and the chin. Exhale, lower down one vertebra at a time. On your next inhalation, return to your bridge, raising the pelvis, the lower back, the mid-back. If possible, we want to create a diagonal line between the knees, the hips, and the shoulders. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, press into the heels, raise up. And this time, if you'd like, you can interlace your fingers together behind the back, opening the chest as you draw your shoulder blades closer to one another. Giving yourself permission to feel courageous, to feel confident as we explore our first heart opening posture for today. And gently release the arm blind and mindfully lower down. Taking a moment here to connect with the breath. It might feel nice to turn your head from side to side. And we will again press up into our bridge. Option to stick with one of the previous variations. Otherwise, place your palms underneath your sacrum, your upper glutes, fingertips facing outwards. Elbows are roughly aligned with your wrists. Inhale, guide your left knee into the chest. Maybe extend your legs skywards. It might feel nice to point and flex your foot a few times, creating length along the back of the left leg as we work on strengthening the right leg, squaring off the hips. Beautiful work. Rebend your left knee, left foot on the earth, one breath here. And when you're ready, draw the right knee into the chest, and maybe you stay here, that could be enough for you. Or if you'd like, straightening your leg, mobilizing the ankle, the arch of your foot. Well done. Exhale, right foot on the earth, and mindfully lower down. This time lift up into a bridge. Interlace your fingers together behind the back. Keep the arms straight. Inhale, left knee to chest, and maybe straightening your leg. Grounding into your right foot to help you create leverage to drive those hips up. This can be a really challenging posture, so breathe into it. Continue to open the heart. Beautiful work. Left foot on the earth, one breath here. And when you're ready, right knee into the chest and find your variation of Ekapada Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. Matching inhalations with exhalations. Great work. Mindfully rebend your right knee, return your foot to the earth, extend the arms the length of the body and gently lower down. Guide the knees into your chest, and we're going to rock up into child's pose. Taking your time. Join the big toes together, widen the knees as much as you would like as you reach your arms out in front. Stretching the back body. Breathing into the lumbar and sacral regions. On your next inhalation, press into the palms around the spine, roll through in cat pose, and come to lower your pelvis down, open the chest, cobra, bend the elbows, soften the glutes. Exhale, send the hips back, child's pose. And again, press into the palms. Inhale, spinal flexion, roll through. Lower the pelvis down, open the chest, keep the elbows facing behind you, Cobra Bhujangasana. Exhale, spinal extension, send the hips back, child's pose. Creating beautiful spinal waves. Allowing yourself to be mindful and compassionate as you flow through these postures. Maybe you'd like to pause in a posture for a little longer. Or perhaps you'd like to create some more fluidity. Listen to what the body is telling you today. Option to continue with this movement, or if you'd like to take it further, on your next inhalation, rise into tabletop. Tuck the toes under. Walk your hands out in front a few inches. Press into the palms. Inhale, downward facing dog. Send the hips up and back. Pedal out the legs. From here, raising the heels, rolling through, coming into high plank. Option to stay in high plank, otherwise lower the pelvis down without touching the earth, opening the chest, upward facing dog. Exhale, send the hips back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, roll through into high plank or upward facing dog. For this variation, we keep the arms extended. And if this feels like too much, know that you can return to our previous exercise, transitioning between child's pose and cobra. Recognizing that there is no right or wrong answer here. It's simply a matter of attuning to your body and honoring your present experience. Wherever you are in this sequence, we'll mindfully lower our knees down onto the mat and rise up into a kneeling position. Knees are about hip-width distance apart. Turning on the core, placing your palms behind your sacrum, fingertips facing towards the earth. Drawing your elbows and your shoulder blades close to one another, or open the chest and gaze up, coming into a baby camel, Ustrasana. Inhale, rise, roll the shoulders back. You can continue with this variation, or we'll come into a full expression of the posture. Grabbing a hold of one heel with the corresponding hand, and if that feels okay, guiding your opposite hand towards the opposite heel. We want to align our hips with our knees, so continue to push your pelvis forwards, engaging the core, gluing your belly button to the spine. Option to rest in this static pose, or let's find a dynamic camel. Keep one hand on your heel as you lower your glutes towards your heels, scoop the chest forwards and around, and guide the opposite arm towards the opposite heel. Flowing through this a few more times, feeling a beautiful heart opener, a spinal extension, smiling up towards the universe. Giving yourself permission to breathe into the sensation. And let's return to our static camel for one mindful breath. Mindfully returning one palm at a time to your sacrum, elevating the torso. And let's come to take a seat on our glutes. Legs are extended out in front, Dandasana, stick pose. Lengthening the spinal column, turning on the core. And from here, bending your knees, placing the soles of the feet on the earth, palms behind your back, we're going to lift up into a reverse tabletop. Grounding down through your hands and your feet, inhale to prepare. Exhale, raise the pelvis, squeeze the glutes, and maybe drop your head back. This time we want to create a straight line between the shoulders, the hips, and the knees. Pressing into the big toes, raising your hips a little higher. Exhale, release, beautiful work. This time we'll come into a reverse plank, straightening the legs, joining the inner thighs, the knees, the ankles together. Palms behind your back under the shoulders. Press into your heels. Exhale, lift up, raise the pelvis. If you have the mobility, you can point your feet and guide your toes towards the mat. Smile, breathe, and release. Beautiful work. Let's join the soles of the feet together and find our seated bound angle. Interlacing your fingers around your feet, lengthening the spinal column. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold, finding some beautiful spinal waves. Feeling a release for the lower back. Option to stick with this dynamic stretch, or if you'd like to take it further, hinging forwards, finding length, and allowing your forehead to rest on the mat, or perhaps resting on your forearms. Softening the glutes, the outer hips, finding stillness. Using the support of your palms to help you elevate the torso, closing off the hips and the knees. And let's come into downward facing dog. Palms on the earth, walk the feet back, raise the hips, melt your heart towards the mat. And it might feel nice to find movement here. Inhale, raise your right leg, three-legged dog. Exhale, right knee to right wrist as we set up for our pigeon pose, something that we've explored earlier throughout this series. Squaring off the hips. You have the option to stay here, otherwise we're going to come into mermaid pose. Flexing the left knee and using the left palm to guide your foot close to the torso. You can rest your foot in your elbow crevice. Maybe you keep your right palm grounded, or you could raise your arm, opening the chest. This is a deep spinal extension, so doing your best to keep the core engaged. If you'd like to play around with King Pigeon, you can swap the grip of your left hand, guide your left foot towards the crown of your head. Maybe raise your right arm or use both hands to guide your toes towards your head, opening the chest, squaring off the hips. Beautiful. Wherever you are in this posture, we'll return to our downward facing dog for one breath. Inhale, raise the left leg, Ekapada Adho Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Kapotasana, left knee towards left wrist. Option to keep your back leg extended, or we can find our mermaid pose. Ekapada Raja Kapotasana. Maybe you stay here, or maybe you come into King Pigeon. Using this as an opportunity to be playful, get creative, allow yourself to have fun. Maybe you wobble around, maybe you decide a posture's not right for you today, and that's perfect. This is a journey of inward discovery. Continue to be courageous, shine your light, your inner luminosity. Feel yourself radiating joy and love as you flow through today's postures. Wherever you were, let's mindfully return to our downward facing dog, pedaling out the hips if that feels right for you. And let's lower down onto our elbows, keeping the elbows aligned with the shoulders. Pressing into the forearms, let's come into our dolphin pose. We're going to rest here today, but if you feel like a challenge, you want more of an inversion, come into peacock pose. Pause the video, and when you're ready to join us, let's come into our dolphin plank. Walking the feet out behind us, lowering the hips, turning on the core, and gently lower down into sphinx pose. Beautiful work. Opening the chest, softening the glutes, pressing into the pubic mound and the tops of the feet. Lower the forehead down onto the mat and we'll come into a spinal stretch. So let's extend the right palm out at shoulder height, palm on the earth. We're going to pivot onto our outer right glute. Guide your left foot behind your right leg, keeping the knee bent, continuing to open your left knee, your left hip towards the sky. Maybe you'd like to guide your left arm behind the back, opening the chest. and really feeling the sensations around the right shoulder, resting on the side of your face, finding softness. If you had your left hand behind your back, mindfully return your left palm under your shoulder, roll onto your belly, place your right palm under your right shoulder, one breath here. This time, straighten your left arm out at shoulder height, ground into your left palm. Begin to roll onto your outer left hip, guide your right foot behind your left leg, opening the hip and the knee, and perhaps guiding your right arm behind the back, opening the chest. Letting go. Mindfully returning your right palm under your right shoulder, rolling onto your belly. And let's press back into Child's Pose Balasana. Gently placing your palms under your shoulders, and with the support of your arms rising up, elevating the torso and coming into a comfortable seated position. Placing your palms on your knees, roll the shoulders back, and let's find a seated cat and cow. With every exhalation, curling and rounding the spine, chin to chest to separate the shoulder blades. Inhale, open the chest, gaze up, broaden the collarbones. Keeping the lower body stable. And mindfully releasing from the posture. Joining your palms together at heart center, closing down the eyes. Taking a moment to thank yourself for your courage in deciding to show up today. Let us round off practice with 3 nourishing breaths. Inhaling through the nostrils and exhaling out through the mouth. Feeling yourself becoming lighter and more at ease. If you would like to join me, we will recite the mantra Om one time. Inhale to prepare. Namaste. Thank you all so much for joining day 4 of our 5-day Nourish yoga series. Sending you love and light. May you be well. May you experience true peace and joy.